Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Imagine this. You're driving through the quiet backroads of rural Alabama, tall trees on both sides, small houses scattered here and there, dogs barking in the distance. It looks like any other peaceful southern town. The kind of place where people still say, "Yes, ma'am," and "No, sir." The kind of place where everyone knows everyone. But hidden just beneath the surface, in the red clay soil of Bibb County, there was something so evil, so dark, that even seasoned investigators would later say it was one of the worst things they had ever seen in their careers. An underground bunker, not an ordinary storm shelter, not a place to hide from tornadoes. This bunker had been turned into a private chamber of horrors. Inside its cold, damp concrete walls, children as young as 3 years old were being held captive. These little boys and girls were drugged with powerful sedatives to keep them weak and compliant. Their tiny hands and feet were tied up with ropes and chains. They were bound to beds, to chairs, even to metal poles inside that bunker. And then, the unthinkable would happen. Adult men strangers would pay money to enter that bunker and sexually abuse these children repeatedly, systematically, without mercy. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was organized. This was a business, a child sex trafficking ring operating right in the middle of rural America. And if that wasn't horrifying enough, even the family's own pets, dogs and cats, were not spared from the sexual abuse happening in that same disgusting place. This is not the plot of a Hollywood horror movie. This is real. This is the true story of the Bibb County Underground Bunker case. A case so disturbing that it shook the entire community of Bibb County. A case that exposed how evil can hide in plain sight, even inside families who are supposed to protect their own children. In the coming parts, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happened step by step, from the shocking discovery, to the arrests, to the mother who allegedly sold her own kids, and to the current status of this nightmare. But I have to warn you, this story is extremely disturbing. It contains details of child sexual abuse, torture, and unimaginable cruelty. If you are sensitive or have children, please consider turning away now. For those who want to know the truth, stay with me. It was the year 2025. In the small, quiet county of Bibb, Alabama, local law enforcement made a discovery that would leave even the most experienced officers shaken to their core. They uncovered one of the most disturbing child sex trafficking rings in recent American memory. What they found was not just a crime, it was a nightmare carefully built and hidden underground. The perpetrators had deliberately created and maintained an underground bunker. What was supposed to be a simple storm shelter had been converted into a secret prison and torture chamber for innocent children. Multiple children were kept inside this bunker for extended periods of time. They were not brought there once or twice. Many of them were held there regularly over months, and in some cases, years. To keep the children compliant and unable to resist, they were regularly drugged. Powerful sedatives were given to these young boys and girls so they would remain weak, disoriented, and unable to fight back or escape. Their small bodies were bound with ropes and restraints. They were tied to beds, chairs, and poles inside the dark, damp bunker. And then the worst part, these children were sold to other adults. Men would pay money to enter that bunker and commit unspeakable sexual crimes against them. This was not random abuse. This was an organized operation where children's bodies were being offered in exchange for cash. But the horror did not stop with the children. The abuse was not limited to them. Even the family pets, dogs and cats living in the same household were also sexually abused in that same disgusting location. The perpetrators showed no limits to their depravity. They violated both children and animals in that underground hellhole. When authorities finally raided and investigated the bunker, what they saw shocked them deeply. The setup inside was designed purely for control and exploitation. There were chairs and beds specifically arranged for restraint. Evidence of drug use was everywhere. The entire place carried the weight of unimaginable suffering. This was not the work of a single twisted individual. This was a group effort, a ring of people who worked together to traffic, drug, bind, and sell children for sexual abuse. In the next parts, we will go deeper into who these perpetrators were, how some of them were family members of the victims, and how this evil stayed hidden for so long in a small rural community. But for now, just try to imagine. A 3-year-old child, drugged and tied down in complete darkness underground, waiting for the next person to come and hurt them, while the outside world had no idea what was happening just a few feet beneath the surface. After months of investigation, law enforcement finally made their move. Authorities arrested 8 people in connection with this monstrous child sex trafficking ring. The charges against them were heavy and numerous. They faced serious accusations including human trafficking, rape, sexual torture, first-degree kidnapping, aggravated child abuse, sodomy, and many other horrifying felonies. But what made this case even more shocking, what left the entire community of Bibb County in complete disbelief, was the identity of some of the accused. Several of the people arrested were family members of the victims. Yes, you heard that correctly. The very people who were supposed to protect these children, the ones who should have been their safe haven, were allegedly involved in their worst nightmare. And the most disturbing name among them was Rebecca Brewer. Rebecca Brewer was the biological mother of some of the victimized children. According to authorities and court documents, she didn't just know what was happening, she actively participated in the abuse and profited from it. She allegedly helped drug her own children, helped restrain them, and even encouraged paying customers to enter the bunker and sexually abuse them. A mother, selling her own flesh and blood. This single fact turned an already horrific case into something that is almost impossible for most people to comprehend. How can a mother do this to her own babies? This betrayal cut deeper than anything else in the entire investigation. The people of Bibb County, who pride themselves on strong family values and tight-knit communities, were left heartbroken and furious. The other 7 arrested individuals included relatives and close associates. Their names are now public: William Chase McElroy, Dalton Terrell, Ricky Terrell, Sarah Terrell, Andres Trejo, Olivia Elam, and Timothy St. John. Each one of them played different roles. Some as abusers, some as facilitators, some as recruiters, but together they formed a ring that destroyed the innocence of multiple children for profit and pleasure. When the arrests were made, the community held prayer vigils outside the courthouse. People were crying, some were angry, many were simply speechless. This wasn't just a crime against children. This was a crime against the very idea of family. In the next part, we will focus specifically on Rebecca Brewer, how she went from mother to accused monster, and what happened when she finally stood in front of the judge. But right now, just sit with this reality. The people who were supposed to love and protect these children the most were the ones who hurt them the worst. Out of all the 8 people arrested, one name stood out more than anyone else: Rebecca Brewer. She was the biological mother of several of the victimized children. And what she did next in the courtroom shocked many people. Rebecca Brewer later pleaded guilty. She admitted in open court to charges of sexual torture and multiple counts of first-degree kidnapping of her own children. As part of a plea deal with prosecutors, she agreed to cooperate fully with the authorities. She promised to testify against the other 7 defendants, the very people she once worked with in this ring. This plea deal was a major breakthrough for the prosecution. But even more striking was what happened during the court proceedings. Rebecca Brewer expressed fear for her own safety. She told the court that she was scared other inmates in jail might attack her or even kill her because of how horrific the crimes were. She knew that child abusers, especially those who hurt their own kids, are at the very bottom of the prison hierarchy. She was reportedly assaulted by other inmates while in custody and had received threats from her co-defendants. Her own lawyer requested that many details of her cooperation be sealed, saying that revealing them could put her life in even greater danger. Think about that for a moment. The same woman who allegedly drugged her own children, tied them up, and profited from their rape, was now afraid for her life behind bars. Many people in the community saw this as karma. Some felt a dark satisfaction that she was finally scared. Others were still furious that she might get a somewhat lighter sentence because of her plea deal. Rebecca Brewer's guilty plea was officially accepted by the judge. She has pleaded guilty to 9 counts of first-degree kidnapping and at least 1 count of sexual torture. Her sentencing has not happened yet, but she remains in custody. Her decision to testify against the others has put massive pressure on the remaining defendants, because a mother turning against her own co-conspirators is extremely powerful evidence in court. This development gave investigators and prosecutors new hope that justice might be served for all the victims. But for the people of Bibb County, the pain remained. How does a mother reach this level of evil? What kind of person profits from the torture of her own flesh and blood? These are the questions that still haunt everyone who has followed this case. In the next part, we will talk about the current status of the case in 2026, what happened to the other defendants, and how the surviving children are doing now. But for now, Rebecca Brewer's guilty plea remains one of the darkest and most unforgettable moments in this entire nightmare. As the investigation grew deeper, the full scale of this nightmare started coming into light. The case revealed something terrifying, a horror that was happening in plain sight, yet cleverly hidden underground. For years, right in rural Bibb County, Alabama, children between the ages of 3 and 16 were being systematically victimized. These were not just random kids taken from far away. Many of them belonged to the same family circle. They lived in the same area. They went to local schools. On the outside, everything looked normal. But behind closed doors, and beneath the ground, their lives had become pure hell. The underground bunker was the central location for all these crimes. It served as a secret, private facility where paying customers could come and commit the worst atrocities imaginable on defenseless children. This was not a one-man operation. It was organized. It had a system. People knew when to come, how much to pay, and how to keep everything hidden. The bunker was specially prepared with beds, chairs, restraints, and a constant supply of drugs to sedate the children. It was designed to break their will and silence their screams. What makes this case even more chilling is that this nightmare was happening in the middle of a small, close-knit southern community. Neighbors were living just a short distance away, completely unaware that such evil existed right under their feet. As the case expanded and more horrifying details came out, federal investigators also got involved. The Department of Homeland Security and other federal agencies joined the investigation. They started looking into possible links to larger trafficking networks, immigration status of some suspects, and whether this ring was connected to other crimes. This was no longer just a local case. It had become a major federal investigation because of the organized nature of the human trafficking. The authorities believe there may still be more victims who have not yet come forward. Because many of the children were heavily drugged, some may not even remember everything that happened to them, or may be too scared to speak. The bunker itself has become a symbol, in this case, a dark monument to how evil can hide in the most ordinary-looking places. A storm shelter meant to save lives was instead used to destroy them. This discovery shook the faith of many people in Bibb County. They started asking difficult questions. How did this go on for so long? Why didn't anyone notice? How deep does this rot go in our community? Even seasoned law enforcement officers admitted that this was one of the worst cases they had ever worked on. One sheriff was quoted saying that, "If God's forgiveness has any limit, this case might have reached it." The children who survived are now in protective custody. They are receiving intense medical care and psychological support. Their road to recovery will be long and painful. This was a nightmare that was happening in plain sight, but hidden underground. It is now 2026. More than a year has passed since the bunker was discovered and the arrests were made. So where does the case stand today? As of 2026, some guilty pleas have been entered, but the trials for the remaining defendants have been delayed as the investigation continues. Rebecca Brewer, the mother of some of the victims, has already pleaded guilty and is cooperating with authorities. Her testimony is expected to be very important in the cases against the others. However, the remaining 7 defendants are still fighting their charges. Court proceedings have been slow. Multiple delays have occurred due to the complexity of the case, the large amount of evidence, and the sensitive nature of the crimes. The investigation is still ongoing. Authorities believe there may be more suspects out there who have not yet been arrested. Federal agencies continue to dig deeper, looking for any larger connections or additional victims who may have been affected. Now let's talk about the most important people in this entire story, the surviving children. The children who lived through this hell are now in protective custody. They have been removed from their previous environment and placed in safe, secure locations where they can begin the long process of healing. These children are receiving intensive medical treatment for the physical damage caused by years of abuse and drugging. Many of them suffer from severe trauma, PTSD, anxiety, depression, and trust issues that will likely stay with them for the rest of their lives. Psychological help is being provided on a daily basis. Therapists, counselors, and child trauma specialists are working with them to help them process what happened. Some of them are so young that they may never fully remember everything, but the emotional scars run very deep. The road to recovery for these children is going to be incredibly difficult. Some experts say it could take many years before they feel even a sense of normalcy in their lives. The community of Bibb County has come together in support. Prayer vigils were held. Local people have offered help and donations. But the pain and anger still remain strong. Many residents say they feel betrayed not just by the criminals, but by the system that allowed this to go unnoticed for so long. As the trials approach, the entire county is watching closely. People want justice. They want the harshest possible punishment for everyone involved. This case has also sparked wider conversations across Alabama and the country about child protection, how to spot signs of trafficking, and whether laws need to be made stricter for crimes against children. The surviving children are the real heroes of this story. Despite everything they went through, they are still here. They are fighters. And now they deserve every chance. This case is so disturbing that many investigators and prosecutors who worked on it described it as one of the worst they had ever encountered in their entire careers. Let that sink in. These are people who have seen murders, violent crimes, and terrible tragedies. Yet even they said that the Bibb County Underground Bunker case left them shaken and horrified like never before. One sheriff with over 30 years of experience publicly stated that this was the most horrible thing he had ever seen when it comes to the victimization of children. He said, "If God's forgiveness has any limit, this case might have reached it." Why is this case so uniquely disturbing? because it wasn't committed by strangers or outsiders. It was carried out by people from within the family. The very people who were supposed to love, protect, and care for these children were the ones exploiting them in the most evil way possible. A mother profiting from the rape of her own kids. Relatives helping to drug and restrain them. This level of betrayal is almost impossible for normal people to understand. It raises very serious and uncomfortable questions. How can such pure evil exist inside families? How does a mother's heart become so cold that she can sell her own children's bodies? How did this continue for so long without anyone noticing? The bunker was right there on a regular property. Neighbors lived nearby. Children went to school. Yet the abuse stayed hidden for years. This shows how easily monsters can hide behind the mask of a normal family in small towns. Many people in Bibb County are still struggling with guilt and anger. They ask themselves, did we miss the signs? Could we have saved these children earlier? This case has exposed the dark reality that child abuse and trafficking can happen anywhere, even in quiet rural America. Even inside families that seem ordinary from the outside. It has forced lawmakers in Alabama to consider stronger laws, including pushing for the death penalty in cases of child rape and sexual torture. The Bibb County case has become a wake-up call for better child protection, better reporting systems, and more awareness in communities. But beyond the legal and systemic questions, there is a deeper, moral question. How do human beings become capable of such unimaginable cruelty? This case doesn't just shock us, it challenges our faith in humanity itself. The survivors, the investigators, and the entire community will carry the scars of this case for a very long time. Finally, after everything we have covered in this horrific story, one big question remains. What do you think should be the punishment for people who commit such crimes against children? Should they get life in prison? Should they get the death penalty? Or is there any punishment harsh enough for someone who rapes and tortures a 3-year-old child, especially when it's their own mother or family member? Many people across America, especially after cases like this, are demanding stricter laws. They want the death penalty for anyone convicted of raping or sexually torturing children under a certain age. They believe that people who destroy the innocence of children in this way have forfeited their right to live among us. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be respectful, but speak your mind honestly. Should these monsters ever see the light of day again? Or should they pay the ultimate price? This case has left all of us with heavy hearts and difficult questions. If you want more true crime stories like this, stories that expose real evil, raise awareness, and demand justice, then please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Your support helps us bring more of these important cases to light. Before we end, I want to say one last thing. Stay safe and vigilant. Protect your children. Watch for warning signs. If something feels wrong, speak up. Don't assume it can't happen here. Because as the Bibb County Underground Bunker case has shown us, evil can hide anywhere, even in quiet rural towns, even inside families that look normal from the outside. To the survivors of this case, we see you. We hear you. We are praying for your healing and strength. And to the monsters who did this, justice is coming. The world is watching. This was the disturbing true story of the Bibb County Underground Bunker case. Thank you for watching till the end. Stay safe, stay aware, and I'll see you in the next video.